discussed conference with labor negotiators and superintendent's evaluation. Isabella, would you please come forward and lead us in the pledge?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Isabella. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move. So moved. Second.
Okay, please vote. Five ayes. Member Crocker is traveling. She is absent. Next, we move on to a presentation from our Assemblyman Bob Wajkowski. Welcome to our meeting.
Well, thank you, President Thomas. It's my pleasure to be here, and thank you all for allowing me an opportunity tonight to give you a quick update of what's happening in Sacramento at the state legislature. I've met with the Fremont and Santa Clara city councils in the Milpitas Unified School District. So tonight I'm presenting today, and then I'll be off to Berryessa to let that school district get an update. And I wanted to reach out while we're still fairly in the early stages of the legislative year and give you an update of some of the topics that are coming down and what to look forward to or not to look forward to, as the case may be. The committees are having their hearings before the House of Origin, which means the Assembly is having their hearings now and the Senate are having their hearings. All that must conclude by the end of April. And if bills don't pass the House of Origin, then it's a dead idea and it comes back. So in addition to that, or simultaneously, the budget subcommittees are analyzing the governor's budget proposal. They're hearing from department heads. The Department of Education has been in sub 2 in education. Research organizations, the legislative analysts is commenting. We're going to be receiving, as you do, the May revision. And then the state will have a clearer picture of what's happened this fiscal year, which is going to end June the 30th. And we'll begin the final negotiations on the budget that's coming forward. As things stand right now, our year-to-end tax revenues that are currently running about $965 million higher than what we predicted they would be a year ago. So we have $1 billion extra dollars in the bank. And as they say on the farm, all the little piggies are at the trough ready to be fed. So those are, that's a good problem to have. So we're going to decide how we are going to divide those funds for this current fiscal year, which will have an impact on whoever gets those funds. Clearly, there have been some big education reforms, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come out. And obviously, compared to other years, things are looking, I don't know if I want to say rosy, but much better. And some of the extra revenue that we are receiving is going to be going into our rainy day fund that the governor has highlighted as to have for those lean years that we just got through. But the economic recovery is so good, and coupled with the passage of Prop 30, which I want to congratulate everybody assembled today for the hard work they did that, it allows the governor in his proposal to either pay off debt or to pay off deferrals. So in this year, last year he said he was going to pay off the Prop 98 deferrals that we had. So this year he decided it's all in 1 year. So $6.7 billion with a B is going to pay off our one-time obligations. We're going to have $5.1 billion, which is in Prop 98 funds for programmatic increases. So we're actually going to make you folks do things, and we're going to pay for those increases that we have in the programs. That's about $788 per pupil funding. So it might move us from 47 to 46, but it really, between fiscal year 2013-14 and fiscal year 14 and 15, it's a 10% increase. So again, that's a positive. And you also know that we're in, as everybody else is aware, that we're in the early stages of these huge, big education reforms in California. You know, we've heard the complaints. We've been complaining. There's inequities and complexities that exist in the school funding formula for K through 12 education, and we've always approached this as a top-down. Sacramento is going to dictate to you folks on how are things going to work. So after doing that for decades and having an unsuccessful situation, we've decided to pass the local control funding formula, which I know that you folks are grappling. And it's obviously designed to give more local control to the boards and some flexibility to meet the priorities that you set. And obviously, or as you know, it's an 8-year phase-in, where many people are anxious about what exactly it means. And if I were the complete answer man, I'd know every detail. But I remind folks that it's an 8-year schedule, and it starts off this year with the governor's budget increasing funding by $4.5 billion for LCFF funding for this fiscal year. So besides paying all the deferrals and the one-time funds, we're actually putting more money into the program. This is pulling off a big transformation like this is a huge undertaking for anybody, including the state of California, but it's a work in progress. The State Department of Education is developing regulations, which will be coming down, and Newark, as well as other districts across the states, are engaging the community with the local control accountability plan that must be approved in 2 months, on July 1st. So I don't sit on the Education Committee or on the Budget Subcommittee on Education, but I know that they're continuing to hold hearings. This is a vigorous debate that's going on, and all the stakeholders are there and will be there by the time we get to the decision-making on the May revise. Just will add anecdotally, I mean, I was visited by the CSU system that would like to have an augmentation of this year's budget of $95 million. And they're telling us that if we augment the budget by $95 million, that will increase spaces at the CSU statewide by 2.5%. So we've had, you know, that's a decision that it will be vigorously debated. So let's turn to Common Core. The state's authorized $1.25 billion in the 13-14 budget for the Common Core. And you know, for the technology, for the professional development, and for the instructional material. Susan Bonilla, who's from Contra Costa County, had a bill, AB 2319, which would authorize a second block grant of about $1.5 billion. So it's that continued investment, which is hopefully what you like to hear. That bill's been approved by the Education Committee on April 9th. It is waiting in line with many other bills in the Appropriation Committee when we make these budgetary things. So substantively, we're moving forward with that. On the school construction bonds, we recognize the growing need to keep our schools modernized. Obviously, with Common Core, the technology piece is there. I'm actually in favor of additional funds with the current monies that we have going into school construction. The Education Committee chairperson, Joan Buchanan, who's from San Ramon and the Pleasanton area, has a bill, AB 2235, and that would place a multi-billion-dollar K through the university facility bonds on the ballot for November 2014. The last bond that we had passed in 2006, and those funds, as you guys are familiar with, have been exhausted for a couple of years now, and it would require a 2/3 vote of the legislature to put that before the voters. I'm preaching to the choir to say the importance, what it does to a community when you have some new construction at your elementary school or high school. So that bill also passed the Education Committee and is waiting its place in the appropriations. Career technical education. Obviously, we got rid of categorical funding, so this opens it up, and not having districts statewide have to maintain the funding levels. We did put one little hiccup in that at least we have to maintain the funding levels for career technical education to the 2012-2013 levels this year. LCFF includes add-on to the base grant for grades 9 through 12 for career and college readiness, and that's about $215 per student. So again, our colleagues to the east, Ms. Bonilla and Ms. Buchanan, are on the budget committee or subcommittee for education and the education committee, so they're the ones I get most of my information from. Bonilla has a Common Core bill that would include funding for career tech and science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, the STEAM programs. But those two items were stripped of the bill before its passage on April 9th because the committee wanted to use this one-time funding and focus on the Common Core. So we liked the idea, it's just we wanted to use the legislation. There are about 100,000 fewer enrolled students in career tech courses compared to last year. So it's a concern for us statewide. The Assembly Education Finance Subcommittee did vote last week to support a motion calling for the state to maintain the funding levels for career technical education. The state's also in the process of awarding $250 million in career pathway trust grants to regional partners, so something's in the pipeline. CalSTRS, the Teachers Retirement Program. That's the last issue I'd like to talk to you tonight about. I'm a member of the Public Employees Retirement and Social Security Committee, and we have held 3 hearings so far, and we have one in a series of educating members of the committee and the public at large about the restraints that we have and trying to close the $71 billion CalSTRS unfunded liability and stabilize the retirement system on a long-term basis. It's not a secret that I have been an advocate of the state making a contribution with this $962 million that we have. All the information is that the earlier you put money in, the 71 billion tends to shrink because you have more return on the investment that you had. Also, from a visual point of view, I think it's important for the state now that we're receiving more revenues to show leadership in this area. You know, we've met with the CTA and the CalSTRS representatives and lots of retired teachers will come in, and we'll be working throughout this legislative year to craft some solution to amend AB 611 is the vehicle. And it will include additional contributions from the state, additional contributions from the employees, the teachers, and additional contributions from you. The number is $4.5 billion. How that gets divvied up, I have, again, been an advocate to have the state give more, at least on a temporary basis, than its historical 4.607%. I mean, the discussion has been to get the state back up to that level. I said those are in normal times. I think we have obligation to everybody because we've been contributing less because we didn't have the money, that we make a bigger contribution. In terms of our teachers, and the vast majority of them who are women, they don't have access to Social Security. This is their one retirement that they have. They train our young, our children and the future leaders. So making improvements is critical for their retirement security and also for our economy. I understand in the 25th Assembly District, which includes all of Newark, CalSTRS payments to retired educators pumps $65.7 million into our local economy. So they cash their retirement checks and they spend it in our community. Yeah. There are many funding scenarios. I'm not going to bore you with all of that right now, but I'm committed to coming to an agreement and getting a plan. And the other little caveat that I'll add is that I want to have some flexibility in there so when we know when we get a down cycle that we give you guys some discretion to say, okay, we know what we should be contributing, but we need to keep the electricity paid. So that's just another element that goes in there. You guys have a lot on your plate. Let me conclude with, in normal times, being a school board member, it's tough, but being in times now where we have Common Core, local funding, and all these decisions that have to make, it puts it in all these reforms that we're expecting, it puts a lot of pressure on you. And I want to congratulate you for your commitment to serving Newark and serving the student body that's here. I want to, it's self-evident that these reforms are important, and they've been talked about for a long time, this idea of local control. And I believe they will improve education because there's a greater focus on critical thinking and problem solving. There's a larger investment where it's most needed in our English learners, bilingual students in the low income, and obviously for the teachers it improves retirement security. They're all steps in the right direction. No doubt there will be obstacles that we'll have to overcome in the coming months, and there'll be needs for adjustments. There's going to be a big need for adjustments when we finally set a plan and we're limited by the amount of contributions that the teachers can make to CalSTRS. Even given all the constitutional review, it may go from 8 to 10.2 or 10.3. The state tends to be light, and that's why I'm pushing the state. So most of that, half of that obligation will be falling on districts. I want to hear from you folks. Please feel free to contact my office. Let me know how my office can be an asset to you and how we can navigate through these times. My staff is available. It's always good when a member says my staff is here. I'll talk with them. But it's always beneficial for me to hear your views. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and wish you all good luck.
Thank you. On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for all of the support you've provided for education and other issues in the area. And we're delighted that you came today, and everything you told us was very informative. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You need to lower have more conversation on lowering the % so we can pass parcel taxes.
Right, 55% for parcel taxes.
Right. That conversation has stopped for whatever reason, it seems.
Yeah, there's a bill that's been introduced, and it's in the Senate. So I think it's Leno has the bill, or several of the senators. They've had some special circumstances that have arisen in the last month that their attention has been elsewhere. I'll just leave it at that. But I think it's important. I think it's hard enough to get 55% of the people to vote on it, and it reflects that the local commitment to improving the schools and improving the services, and it speaks to the community. So it's on my radar.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next, we move on to staff reports. Superintendent, would you introduce the staff reports, please?
Yes, before we get to the staff reports and the presentation from McGregor Alternative Center, I would like to give an opportunity
I meant student council reports
for
and school
Nicole T.,
spotlight
our student board member.
Was I forgotten?
No, I'm sorry.
Today we had a campaign rally in the quad at lunch, raising awareness for kids in La Paz to help get education. Smarter Balance field tests, CST, and CASI makeups are approaching, and students have all been notified. The College and Career Center has dozens of Newark community scholarships to be given out to Newark students at Senior Awards Night in May, along with information about SAT classes, summer camps, informational career meetings, etc., etc. Administration and food services have left a message for students saying leaving garbage at their table in the commons. Students will find their table gone the next week and also will get a Saturday school. Tutoring is continuing every Friday after school. We're having a mandatory senior meeting Thursday after break to get diploma information, special presentations, caps, gowns, announcements, grad night, and our senior panoramic picture will be taken. And last but not least, as a very proud choir president, our advanced choir earned a very high excellent rating and 3rd place at our Heritage Festival last weekend. So very, very happy.
Very good. Congratulations. Thank you, Nicole. McGregor Alternative Center will be doing a spotlight this evening, and prior to that, Mr. Irwin will be honoring the certificated and classified employees from McGregor. So, Mr. Irwin.
Great. Thank you, Superintendent Mark and President Thomas, members of the board. It's always a pleasure when we spotlight a school to also spotlight two of the outstanding employees at the particular school. I'd like to invite Mr. John Tiano up. John Tiano is an outstanding educator in every sense of the word. As an algebra teacher, Mr. Tiano is solely responsible for the testing gains and the California high school exit exam success at McGregor. His math lessons are spot on. He engages students from bell to bell with innovation and guided practice. We often hear comments from students such as, Mr. Tiano can explain algebra so that I can understand it. He has the ability to reach all learners, below basic, far below basic, second language learners, and special education students. He quietly does this each day and has shown remarkable success where others have failed. He takes his time and asks all kids in his class to explain how they solved the problems and expects mastery. His students admire and respect him because they know he cares and they know he is committed to their success. The school has come to rely on Mr. Tiano's knowledge, skills, and abilities as a professional educator in many ways. He is the alternate administrator when the principal is not at school. In this role, he supervises students, resolves conflict, and ensures that McGregor is a healthy and safe place. Without ever being asked, Mr. Tiano helps supervise the campus during the lunch hour and checks in areas where we have experienced problems. His proactive approach to ensuring the health and safety of the campus is greatly appreciated. The school has seen a dramatic reduction in suspensions and negative behaviors over the past 3 years, and John is one of the important keys to preventing problems with students. Each day, John enters the main office with a smile, shined shoes, pressed shirt, tie, and a great humor. His positive nature seems to brighten the room with his presence, even if the mood or the morale is a bit down. His can-do demeanor, even when it seems dire, is an inspiration to everyone. It is McGregor's pleasure to recognize him as the Spotlight Teacher because of his positive impact and the presence he brings to the entire McGregor learning community each and every day. Congratulations, John.
Hey, John, why don't you turn around here because somebody was taking your picture and I think they got your back.
That's my best side.
No comment.
I'd like to invite Liz Sesko up. Liz is the classified spotlight employee from McGregor because of her professionalism, her dedication, and her positive impact on the learning community and her willingness to go the extra mile. Liz is an outstanding instructional aide serving our most vulnerable populations. Each day she comes to work with a smile and a positive attitude. She is on time, ready, and prepared to serve our students. She knows no limits or bounds when it comes to helping kids and takes the initiative if she feels the need, regardless of her assignment. The school sees Liz each day walking with her students, emptying recycle bins, loading students into vans, helping them with their cognitive development skills. She has the patience of a saint. Her ability to work with the most challenging learners seems limitless. She is a leader on the school's campus in countless ways and is an inspiration to others. Liz readily volunteers for roles at McGregor that are needed. She is on the school site council this year. She has brought her wisdom and her knowledge to the table to help the school see areas of improvement, not only with a critical eye, but also with a solution and a remedy. When the school needed to unexpectedly transport students, she can be seen with a clipboard inspecting vehicles without complaint, even if it is not conducive to her schedule. Liz seeks opportunities to improve herself and grows as an instructional aide. The school has come to rely on her wisdom and knowledge in so many ways. The phrase, "Miss Sesko, do you have a minute?" is used often when we consult her about a problem and seek a solution. Liz always wears a smile and possesses an uncanny ability to lift up the entire school. Her impact on the learning community, and especially on the population that she serves each day, is hard to measure and may not be fully realized unless we did not have her at the McGregor campus. The school is grateful that she is on the team and appreciate her hard work and dedication to the kids of McGregor School, and she is the Spotlight Classified Employee. Congratulations. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the ever-energetic principal of McGregor Alternative Learning Center, Mr. Tom Orpett.
Good evening, parents, students, faculty, staff members, friends. I notice there's a lot of people in this audience that are very dear to me. Just to let you know, I have a formula. I surround myself with the best and the brightest and then take all the credit. I can't tonight for Mr. Tiano and Ms. Sesko. They're just superstars. Thank you for coming. Good evening, board directors, Superintendent Markham. I am here to talk about McGregor a little bit, to see what we've done here in the last, year, and it's been pretty remarkable. I want to start this by saying that we miss Donna. Donna is Miss Shake, and she is a teacher, a resource teacher at both McGregor and the adult school. She had a stroke about a week and a half ago, and we are praying for her each and every day. It has rocked our learning community to the core, and there's not an hour that goes by where we're not dearly missing her. We're hoping that she's going to get back, and we need her services desperately. So I would say the kids and the staff are a little bit down right now for Donna, but we're going to go ahead and keep our hopes up and pray for her quick and speedy recovery. We need her back. Wanted to show you just a couple of things here tonight. The McGregor vision is to prepare students for college and career tech ed, and that's our focus. We have many people in the audience tonight that get up every day, and that's what they want to do. They just want to get people to have the opportunity to excel after their Newark time is here. So we're going to look at some innovation, some things that happened a couple years ago and now are a little different. If you look at some of these slides, you will see that the school is in a transformation state. I think if you didn't have a board and a superintendent and a staff that cared, none of this would happen. We do great things, but it's all about the people that supported us in having that happen. This is our beautiful library that we're using every day, and I don't think there's a class period that goes by where there's not people vying for position in there. We're really happy to have the cafeteria and be able to have events there. We've hosted events quite frequently in there and guest speakers, and it's just wonderful. This is our next project, is the fitness center. We got a ways to go, but we've been making some huge progress there. I know Director Stadler's been wondering, when is that going to be up and running? And I think that health and fitness and being committed to students is going to be a key. Crossroads is an independent study program. It's distance learning. Kids come for an hour and a half to 2 hours per week. Then they go home and they do 30 hours of instruction on their own. A lot of kids are suffering from acute illnesses or anxiety, or they have different things in their life that has prevented them from attending a regular traditional school. And what we're looking at is a WASC accreditation, and we're looking at improving distance learning services for those kids. Newark Adult is certainly on the upswing. We are in the consortium project with New Haven and Mission Valley and Fremont and Ohlone Community College. And we're building a plan to have services in the community that are available for high school diploma, English language instruction, and career tech ed. We're really excited about that plan, and it's moving along quite rapidly. With my colleagues, we meet actually Thursday as our next meeting, and I have been empowered by the superintendent. He has given me his goals as what the board would like to see, and I'm carrying that forward as maybe your representative in that consortium. I'm expecting to see great things in Newark. TALL is a program that Ms. Sesko is working in. That's a moderate to severely handicapped 18 to 22-year-old transition program that when I get really down and maybe I've had some really terrible times, or if I'm being challenged, I'll go out and play basketball with the TALL program, or I come in and have lunch and they brighten my day immediately. It's an unbelievable thing. We're looking at trying to get a gardening and cooking program. We think that's going to be a turning around program for them, and I know we all want to get our hands dirty. So that's something we're all looking forward to. For Bridgepoint High School, we still have that WASC on the table. It's a 10-point study. We're going to try to look at ourselves with a critical eye and try to improve student services in the best way we can. Bridgepoint has a whole lot to look forward to. We have taken the Common Core a couple of years before even people knew about it, and we started looking at complex reasoning and writing about it, and we started looking at analytical thinking and put those practices into use 2 years ago. We've seen our test scores shoot through the roof, 55 points and 50-point gains every year, and that can be attributed to that terrific staff, the incorporation of technology, and moving it ahead. There's a whole lot to celebrate here for the whole McGregor campus. And we're very proud of the accomplishments we made, but again, I can't reiterate the importance about having the support from this outstanding staff. And I look at each member here today, and I can think of countless ways they've helped me move the rock forward, and perhaps even calmed me down a little bit when that was needed. I know it's kind of hard to believe. But we're going to go ahead, and our key is just if you have a nickel and you spend it right, and I can benefit all 4 programs, or I can benefit the most students, that's kind of our goal there, and we're going to try to keep moving that forward and continuously seek improvement. And I know it was pretty quick, but if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. And if anybody in the audience wants to answer a question, you can step up and do that yourself too. But we're really happy, and if you look in the middle, there's Donna in the middle, and it's kind of hard to be up here tonight knowing that we need her back. And so we're real happy with the successes we've done at McGregor, and couldn't be more thrilled with the support we've got.
Mr. Orput, would you point out your bulletin board at the back?
Yeah, the bulletin board in the back was done by almost every school has a commitment into that bulletin board. Good, they're all hiding. What we wanted to do was, we have a commitment to standard English proficiency. We want to see typewritten work to mastery. It's not, boy, you did good on your assignment, here's a C, let's move on. All the typewritten work, we try to work for that mastery. And we're using BrainFuse with the county library system. It's a plagiarism filter, and it also brings in people to correct kids' work. I wanted to put all typewritten work up there, Director Thomas, but then I was talked out of it. They said it would be way too boring. So you'll see work from TALL. You'll see work from the Bridgepoint High School, a little bit of Crossroads, and some adult school stuff. So there's a whole smattering take a look at it. You're going to see 4 different programs with different ability levels, all achieving, all striving.
Oh, Mr. Orput, I think I can speak for the entire board in saying how proud we are of the work you've done in the transformation of McGregor over the last few years since you've been there. Just really good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's for you.
Mr. Mensinger?
Yes, maybe we can close the meeting in honor of Donna.
Oh, that'd be really meaningful.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Mensinger. Appreciate that, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Now we can go on to staff reports.
Yes, thank you, President Thomas. We have added...
After your announcements.
Oh, wow.
I messed up again.
No, that's all right. I just have 4, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Newark Junior High School Talent Show is Thursday night at 6:30. Newark Junior High STEM Day is at Ohlone College Friday, all day, April 18th. Always an exciting time in collaboration with Ohlone College. The African American Student Achievement and Excellence Awards are at the Chabot College campus on Saturday, April 19th. And that is a good part of the day. I believe it starts at 10 a.m. And a big sigh from all Newark Unified School District students, parents, and employees. Spring break is next week. For staff reports, we added a staff report primarily because this is the second year in a row that Newark Unified School District has sent teams from both Newark Junior High School and Newark Memorial High School to the rocketry finals just outside of Washington, D.C. Last year, we were the only school district in California, and actually the only school district in the nation last year, apart from the school district of which Nassau is a part, that sent 2 teams. Again, this year, we have 3 teams from Newark Memorial High School and 1 team from Newark Junior High School. Again, the only school district in California, and we don't know about the rest of the nation with that honor. I know Mr. Neal is here from the junior high. Mr. Jerry Liang, the rocketry leader at Newark Memorial, is going to come up and say a few words, and I see a few people in the back holding rockets. And Mr. Liang.
Well, esteemed board members, the community, this program would not have grown without your support. It really has been an honor and a pleasure working here and working with these kids. Last year we had 2 teams of 12 students, and this year it just exploded into 5 teams with up to 44 students at one point. So it's really a testament of the community support and really the hard work of these kids on their weekends, on holidays, on whenever. I think we're going to do some more test launches over spring break. So it really is a real pleasure, and I'm really happy to see how this program has grown. I know some of the kids, I was going to pull up here to have them explain to you guys a little bit about some of the challenges they've gone through. So Steve, why don't you lead this off?
So for rocketry, our main goal was to hit 825 feet and come back down in a time of between, was it 48 and 56? Yeah, so it was pretty challenging, and compared to with knowing that there's another 800 teams out there in the nation, and we ranked for the top 100, it makes us feel pretty confident and proud in what we've built last year, because last year we started off with we only went with 12 people, and now we have a club of 35. So I know that Mr. Liang and all our hard work has really been invested into the club, and that's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you.
Steve is the captain of one of the teams that is going, and here we have our big builder, Ajit.
Hello. My name is Ajit Asi from Newark Memorial, and I appreciate you guys letting me speak here today. And our team faced a lot of challenges this year, partly because a lot of our rockets were not hitting the height or breaking or crashing, which I thought was amusing. But otherwise, we really stepped out of the box this year. Like, we've had rockets with eccentric fin designs, we've had rockets that are really big, and yeah, so we just really stepped out of the box. And then as a team, we grew a lot. There were a lot of challenges we faced regarding who does what and then what goes where. But in the end, we grew together and we got qualified for Washington, D.C. And Mr. Lang's put in a lot of hard work for us. He's invested time, money, effort into this. I stay with him at night talking about like rockets and stuff until like 6. And then like, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kirtash Atwell, and I'm part of one of the Newark Memorial High School teams going to Washington, D.C. for the Team America Rocketry Challenge Finals. And I think the biggest thing that I probably got out of this club, was the ability to work in a team. This is a national competition, and we have teams from all over the country just competing and building rockets and trying to get them off the floor. And it would be impossible to do that alone. So yeah, we had to build rockets, we had to prep them, we had to launch them, we had to take them after flights, modify them so then we can adjust them and hit our targeted height in a targeted amount of time. And like I said, that would be impossible to do alone. And so I really had to learn how to work in a team and get used to my role. And yeah, just the whole aspect of teamwork was probably the biggest thing that I learned. I went into the club just thinking like a couple of my friends are there, I'll be able to hang out with them a couple times after school. And then I shortly realized after that it was a really serious competition, and I got used to my role, and it was really enjoyable in the end. Thank you.
My name is Kabir Dillon, and I represent Team 5, our 5th team in our rocketry club. I'm a freshman, and this is my first year participating in our rocketry club. I joined rocketry because what I heard from my peers last year was it was a really great experience, and it was really fun and worth it, and I thought perhaps it would be something to join. So I joined this year, and I can say for sure it was really worth the time. Building over the weekends, launching at Ohlone, it was a lot of fun, and we've seen the progress from day one to now. We've seen huge changes.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Aaron Klein from Team 4 of the Newark Rocketry Club at the high school, and I'm a freshman also, and is the second year of doing the TARC program, because last year I was in the 8th grade teams, and I was in the team that went, and they always change the rocketry challenges very much in between the years, and it makes you have to use lots of innovation, and that's a lot of what I got out of the program, and what I think our team got out of the program is having to use our innovation to meet the standards that were explained earlier to build the rockets. And as Ajit said, it is very difficult sometimes, and you do have to think outside the box. And that required a lot from us. And my team specifically, Team 4, we went through a lot of development, and that initiative and that innovation kind of helped us through, because we weren't the most organized of the teams at the time, and some of them thought that, this was just for fun to go hang out. But once we managed our teams and we learned how to basically deal with each other, we got this motivation that even though my team we didn't make it to the nationals, but we did make it on the alternate list. We got a motivation near the end once we managed ourselves that just we hold dearly right now. It helps us a lot throughout just our life, you know, because rocketry is a big part of our lives, and it's an outlet for me, and I love it a lot. And a lot of the members of my team, even though we didn't make it, were carrying that motivation even more. We were planning to, 4 members of my team are planning over the summer to work on rockets and experiment for the challenge next year. And we're just really happy to be in this. And it's great.
Thank you.
So we just heard from representatives from 4 different teams, and Aaron's team just narrowly missed. So we could have sent 4 teams from the high school, and but 3 out of 5 is definitely more than I could have hoped. And I can only hope for next year we're going to go 5 for 5.
Wow, and we're wishing you.
Thank you. I would also like to introduce our junior high team. The rocketry class teacher is here, and Mr. Neal, would you come up, please, to the podium, because Newark Junior High is the school that sets us on the California and national map.
Yes, we are. Just kidding. Thank you, Dr. Markin, school board, appreciate it. We are exceptionally proud to have this honor, and Mr. Drum this year, we actually made it a class this year. You know, in the past, we had a rocket club too, but we had enough room in our schedule this year to create a class, and we're glad we did. So we actually have 7th and 8th graders in the class this year working hard, and we only qualified 1 team, but we're proud of that 1 team this year, and a lot of the kids that are in the high school program also were in the program last year. So we're working to help build that continuity with the high school as well. So I'll be quiet now, let Mr. Drum talk.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Good evening. Great work to the high school team. Getting 3 teams in out of that 800 or so that were competing is quite an accomplishment. But I want to tout the junior high's effort first, if I could. Once again, 800 teams ranging from 7th to 12th graders. The majority of these are high school teams. Of that 800, 7 junior highs made it to finals, and we're one of 7. Understand that the high school students are primarily students who have, well, filtered through the junior high and the rocketry program we have there, as Mr. Neal said, but also they've taken advanced science. They have physics under their belt. They have, within that, aeronautics. My kids, most of them are 7th graders, so this is really the first taste of science and physical science they've ever had. And yet, they're mastering skills and performing on par with what our high school is doing. And we had 4 teams, 22 kids. They all worked incredibly hard, coming in on weekends, after school, building rockets, testing them, adapting them, and getting to hit those standards, what they said, how high it has to go, how long it has to go, protecting 2 eggs so that they don't break when they land. I mean, it's quite a competition. And yeah, like Mr. Yang said, we really can't do it without the support we get from you all, from our principals, and from the community to let us do this. It's just a really good program for these kids to get excited about science. And that is so needed for advanced education and keeping our community thriving. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we've talked about support, so it's a pleasure to introduce 3 members from the Newark Education Foundation. I would say also that all 3 members are part of the Superintendent's Council and have agreed to participate and be a part of the foundation. Andrew Klein, Jennifer McMenemy, and Irma Castaneda, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. The Newark Educational Foundation has been around for several years, a little under the radar the last few years, but its charter is to fund science and music programs within the school district. And we couldn't think of a better science program than the Rocket program. These guys go out there, and my son just spoke, so I'm a little proud of him. But they go out there and they do this all of the time. And you've heard all of the enthusiasm that they bring to this. But one of the things that happens is they qualify. And now they suddenly have to spend a lot of money to get there. And parents have to dig deep. And we wanted to help. And so what we wanted to do, I want Mr. Liang and Mr. Drum and Mr. Neal to come on up here. We'd like to present each of the teams that are going with $1,000.
Mr. Morales is out there too.
Bill Morales, get up there.
A total of $4,000 for these teams to help offset. Yeah, let's put them all in here. To help offset the cost of going to Washington, D.C. And bringing back that #1 trophy. We know they can do it. Thank you.
Mr. Mensinger has a question, I believe, or a comment?
Yes. Mr. Liang? You don't get away that easy, come on. Yeah, a quick question for you, or one of the students. It doesn't really matter who answers it, but I was under the impression that the actual qualification this year is more difficult than it's been in the past. I was wondering if you could just highlight the changes and why it was more difficult and maybe what you guys had to do to qualify.
Oh yeah, sure, I can definitely qualify that answer. This year was definitely more difficult than previous years because they did a change to the rules where it used to be you get 3 launches and you can take the best score from that one out of the 3 launches. But this year they said to take the top 2 scores and add them up. So this year they were looking for consistency. So you still had only 3 launches, but this time if you messed up on one launch, you really only had 2 more shots and that was going to be your score. So for example, Aaron Klein's team actually had the best score out of all of us, all the teams in the qualification launch. They got a low score of 4. But then in the following flight, they got a higher score, and as a result, when they combined the score, they ended up being placed at 113 in the nation, and they just missed out. So this year was really about consistency, and so it was definitely a challenge, and as a result, I think it was a true testament of our students' will to keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations.
Oh, yes, and thank you to the Newark Educational Foundation.
Absolutely.
Nicely done.
Absolutely. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. We now have a brief presentation by K&N. We will be recommending to the board that we go out for a second series of bond sale. And so I'd like to introduce a person who's worked with us for many years from K&N, Ruth Aladoyan. Ruth, welcome.
Hi, good evening. We're going to go from rocket science to bond math, so it's quite an extreme. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm Ruth Aladoyan with K&N Public Finance. We've been working with the district for a number of years, in particular on Measure G. And I brought with me my colleague, Justin Rich. He will be working with the district with this next particular issue, and I'd like him to do the presentation so you get a feel for him.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. What Ruth didn't mention is the fact that she is going to be leaving K&N Public Finance. She's going to be going to Oakland Unified School District, and she's leaving you all in my hands, and so I look forward to carrying on what she's done, but I just wanted to mention that. That's why I will be taking over for Ruth, and those are big shoes to fill for sure. just a quick recap on the district's Measure G program so far. Following the issuance in 2012 of $15 million, you all have $48 million in authorization left. Due to some capital needs that are required in the coming years, the school district's going to be looking to issue additional bonds, which is obviously why we're here tonight. And on this particular slide, just to give you a sense of where that leaves you now, we've included a graph that shows the annual debt service or debt payments that are required for your bonds going forward. If you can look at that graph, the area that's in blue represents your previous measure or your authorization from 1997. The last bond issuance was back in 2011, and that is shaded in orange. And then the remaining authorization, this is how we've modeled it so far, is represented in green. And so this is the same plan. We're still, the authorization as it was, originally intended. We're still on that same plan and moving forward. So prior to any bond issuance, there's a few different considerations that we make. First and foremost, if there is not a need for funds, then there's really no there's no incentive to issue the bonds. But in this case, clearly the district has a need for capital facilities funds, and that's really the first test. We want to make sure that in terms of the project timelines, that there's a requirement for those funds, and that the bonds that are sold and issued, that it provides funding along the timeline for those particular projects. Earlier there was the assembly member had a presentation, talked a lot about state funding, and that's also one of the impetus here for issuing bonds, making sure that when there is no state funding that's available, or based on the level of developer fees and local funding the district can count on, making sure that there's funding available to help fund those projects. The next consideration relates to statutory bonding capacity. There is a limit to the amount of outstanding debt that a district can incur, and the district is well below that. The entire rest of the authorization could be issued without coming up against that threshold, so that's an important thing to note. And then finally, tax rate constraint. This is when the district issues bonds, one thing we want to make sure is that any pledges or statutory requirements related to tax rate, that the district complies with that, and we fully expect to do that. So as I mentioned, as it relates to the need for funds, really the first thing that we would look at, the district does have a need for funds, and although there is cash that's currently available, there are planned projects for this year that will go beyond that. We also don't anticipate issuing bonds following this series for another couple of years. So the district will need funds to be able to not only carry through the projects of this year, but then beyond as well. So we wanted to make sure that the district's expenditures matched up with what their needs were. And then when we're looking at a bond program from the beginning and then through each successive issuance, we want to make sure and we pay close attention to assessed valuation growth, because after all, that offers the revenue that the district will pull from in order to pay debt service, and it also affects the tax rate that's charged to taxpayers. Fortunately, based on the models that were constructed early in the bond program and what was forecasted, assessed value growths have kept pace and actually exceeded what was previously forecast. So the bond program is on track and actually has a cushion in terms of what projections were. So that's good news so far. And just to go back and look at historical tax rates for the school district, you'll see in the blue columns, this represents the previous authorization and tax rates prior to Measure G. Currently, those are at $89.36 for the previous authorization. For Measure G itself, that tax rate currently is at $38.64. So when you add those together, the tax rate for all of the bond measures for the school district are $128 per $100,000 of assessed valuation. So although it's still early in the planning stages, there's a lot of things that we need to consider. The details that we have so far relate to the amount. We're initially targeting about $28 to $30 million, which should provide the district the funds it needs for the next couple of years for projects. Another thing that we are mindful of is the fact that the term that bonds are issued for need to match up with the useful life of the projects or the improvements that are being financed, and that's in order to keep compliant with IRS guidelines and procedures. And so for this particular bond issuance, we're, for a conservative estimate, we're assuming that will be 25 years, so the term of the debt will likely match that in the same way, be about 25 years. Also, the method of sale that is being proposed is a negotiated sale, similar to what was done last time, and with Morgan Stanley and the underwriter who you previously worked with, Charlie Feinstein. In terms of the schedule, we have a slide that outlines this in a little bit more detail, but what we're looking to do is to close these bonds and actually provide proceeds roughly mid-June. So we have some time to get to there. Market conditions, we wanted to include this slide to talk about where the market's at today. It's actually a really good time to be issuing bonds, although it's not at its lowest. And I think the district's previous 2 issuances really were well timed in terms of taking advantage of historically low interest rates. We're still near those levels, and so it's a good time to be able to issue bonds and get low cost of borrowing. And that's really the point of this, is to highlight where we're at today. Finally, as I mentioned, we've put together a schedule. We do know that when it comes to these financings, oftentimes dates will change, just reacting to various deadlines and things that we need to hit. But the bottom line is we plan to come back to the board on May 20th and bring documents for approval. And as I mentioned before, we look to close roughly in mid-June. So that's what I have to report today. Is there any questions that I can answer, or maybe anything that I can highlight in a little bit more detail?
Mr. Mensinger.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for the report. Going back a couple of slides to first the tax rate against the assessed value. Last year we yes, thank you. Last year we refinanced. There's another term for it, but we basically refinanced our existing loans, dropping the rate. Is that included in that?
Certainly, it would be. Yes.
Oh no, is it included in your slide?
In terms of the actual debt service, or
yes.
I think in the following slide would reflect changes to. In this slide, this shows the actual debt service, or the tax rates to pay that debt service, and those tax rates would be adjusted based on changes as a result of the refunding.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like it. That's why I saw, it was the first thing that stuck, caught there. Okay, go down to the, 2 more slides.
Okay.
Or the next, yeah, that one there. Okay. Yeah, we did a pretty good job before, and so.
Yeah, that was the historical.
And we're holding you to those standards. No pressure. But yeah, it's still riding, a good point and a half or so above that now. And I'm not seeing anything. You mentioned that it's pretty fluid, but I'm not seeing anything in the indices that look like that's going to trend back downward. In fact, maybe trend upward, based on economic news with employment and some of the other things where things have upturned. So, do you think June is the right time, or do you think we should maybe let it slide a little bit, or try to do it a little bit earlier?
It's a great question, and trying to forecast that is certainly challenging. I know that the Fed obviously has their hands full dealing with those kinds of issues, but this slide really is a 5-year snapshot. If you look back over the last 15, 20 years, you'll see rates were significantly higher. So yes, they are about 1.5 points higher than where they were at their lowest point. We have had some positive indicators for the economy, but it's been a little bit mixed, and so that's why we've seen rates come down a little bit from maybe say November, December, when they were up higher than where they're at today. Having said all of that, I think, if I was to guess, I would say that rates are going to go up over the long term. I think that the actions, in terms of monetary policy and what's been going on, are going to push in that direction. And so I think now is a good time. I wouldn't, if I was to bet, I would say that you're getting the lowest rates that you will for a while.
Okay, so just a quick follow-up on that. Our process for this was to get everything done as quickly as possible, all the paperwork, everything done, and then we kind of waited for the right minute to strike. Sure. In fact, we struck very quickly. Elaine called me in the morning and said, "Can you come down here in 20 minutes?" Mm-hmm. And so we can approve this and get this done. So I'm wondering if we can do that same sort of process, get all the paperwork in place, get everything we need to get this done, and then we can kind of sit on the market a little bit and then pick and choose what we feel is the best time.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring it back before the 20th of May at the next meeting?
Certainly, yeah. Certainly, I think that's something we can discuss, and if that's, if that works with timing, we can work on that.
Good. Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you for your presentation.
Certainly.
Being Latino, we normally use the, respectful for Ruth, so I would say Miss Ruth, but I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so I'll say Ruth. Thank you for, all the time you spend with us and getting us through, especially the initial part. And my question is pretty simple on the timeline. Can you give us a timeline of when we're going to get the money so we can start, fixing the structures that we have, if you don't mind?
Well, fortunately, I think there is still funds available, but this is more of a long-term planning measure. But notwithstanding any changes to take advantage of low interest rates and any movements that may happen in the market, and I assure you that happens in any sort of in any financing, the financing team will look and make sure that the conditions are as optimal as possible and weighing the need for cash and all of those other things that will go into it. But currently, the plan is for mid-June, and the district will have funds in hand at that time. So,
okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Superintendent? If the next item will take more than 10 minutes, perhaps we should go to public comment on non-agenda items.
I think we'll go ahead. I think it's about 10 minutes, and I think that our visitors will probably want to be on the road before we move into our next items. So I would like to welcome two visitors this evening who are here from the Superstars Literacy Program. We have Ms. Nancy Baum, who is the program director, and Ms. Maeve Anderson, who is the program manager. And I invited them here this evening because we've been courting them for a number of months now. I found them this summer when I was looking for a program that could serve our students and provide us with an extended day for our students who need the most support. Our teachers work very hard. Our schools provide quality curriculum, quality instruction, and some of our students need more. That's just the way it is. So I was looking for a program that could help support us with an extended school day, and I found them, and we've been working together for a number of months, and we hope to be working together next year. Welcome, Nancy. Welcome, Maeve.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, directors, Superintendent Markin, members of the community. My name is Nancy Baum. I am the program director of Superstars Literacy, and we're moving from numbers, the previous presentation, to letters right now. We're very pleased to be here at the invitation of Director Hilberg to talk to you a little bit about our program, which is a literacy nonprofit that is based in Oakland. My colleague and I, Maeve Anderson, are here to share some information with you this evening about our program. Do we have a... Oh, perfect. Great, thank you. All right, as you can tell, I'm the program, as I indicated already, I'm the program director. I have 30 years of experience in public education here in the Bay Area, starting out in what used to be called Richmond Unified School District, now West Contra Costa, where I taught special ed and general ed. Moving on to opportunities in the district office, and then moving to Pittsburgh Unified, and most recently Mount Diablo Unified, where I was an elementary school principal.
Hello, thank you so much for having us today. My name is Maeve Anderson, and I am a program manager, one of 3 with Superstars Literacy. I have 6 years of teaching experience, a California cleared teaching credential, and a master's degree in elementary education. I've been with Superstars since September, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about our program today.
Before Maeve gets into some of the specifics of our program, I wanted to just review with you a little bit about the history of Superstars. Our vision is to be the early literacy partner of choice for Bay Area school districts, and specifically those school districts that work in underserved and under-resourced communities. Superstars Literacy began as a project of the Junior League of the East Bay in 2002. It served 1 class of students at 1 elementary school in Oakland Unified. 4 years later, it became a nonprofit organization, broke off from the Junior League, and established itself as an independent organization. By 2008, Superstars had expanded to 6 schools in Oakland Unified. 2 years ago, we were awarded one of only 4 3-year AmeriCorps grants in Northern California that allowed us to expand further. And we now currently serve over 300 students in 20 classrooms in 2 school districts in the Bay Area.
I'm going to dive into a little bit of the program overview. We have 4 basic elements to our program: the training and support of our group leaders, our in-class intervention, our after-school program, and the family engagement that we do. A deeper look at the training and support that we provide. Our group leaders are AmeriCorps members who are all recent, or most of them are recent college graduates. They are all college graduates. And they have varying degrees of experience in education. So before we put them in an after-school classroom, we provide them with 2 full weeks of training during the summer and 4 hours of weekly training every single week. Also, as a program manager, my role is to support them on an ongoing basis. I do a weekly observation and debrief with each one of my group leaders, and I take my observations back to our trainings and use that information to guide us in our weekly training.
We also provide in-class intervention in addition to the extended learning or after-school program. The in-class intervention supports students for up to 3 hours in a classroom 5 days a week. The look of the intervention at each school is really dependent upon the needs of a particular school. So some schools we work exclusively at the school's request on high-frequency word acquisition. Some schools that have a more extensive RTI model, we will work with students on their individual literacy needs based on the results of those RTI assessments.
Our after-school program, which is the part of our program we have been doing for the longest, for the entire time that we have been an organization. The typical after-school model is 1 kindergarten, 1 first, and 1 second grade after-school class. Each class is approximately 20 students and taught by one of our group leaders. The classes revolve around the students' needs, which we determine through our DIBELS assessment, which we do at the beginning, middle, and end of year so that we can structure our instruction to hit our students' needs as they change over the course of the year. Our program focuses on the 5 building blocks of literacy: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary development, and comprehension. And in our after-school program, we also focus on the social, emotional development of our students and teach targeted lessons based on our 3 target areas: empathy, impulse control, and conflict negotiation. And finally, part of our program is our belief in engaging the family and parents of our students in the education of their student. And so we do a lot of family events. These include field trips, family reading nights. We partner with schools to be involved in the school events that are going on. We've had science days, and we are currently in this planning our end-of-year celebration for our students and their families.
As Maeve mentioned, we do assess our students 3 times a year using DIBELS. And we assess the beginning, the middle of the year, and at the very end of the year. The assessments show not only student growth across the year, but also areas of targeted intervention and focused instruction that we will work on through the remainder of that year. We also, as Maeve mentioned, do provide significant programming in social emotional skills using the DRDP, Desired Results Developmental Profile, and we do provide focused instruction in the 3 areas she mentioned: empathy, impulse control, and conflict resolution, and we also do measure the growth in those areas as well across the school year. So again, that's a very quick snapshot of our program. We're happy to take any questions. I know time is short right now, but we're happy to take any questions you may have at this time.
Years ago, we had reading recovery.
Yes.
Can you correlate for me on how it engages?
Sure. Reading recovery is very different because that's a one-on-one program. So you have one teacher working with usually one student, maybe 2 students at a time. And it's a very intensive program. Teachers have to be trained using a reading recovery model. I know for a while, the St. Mary's College was a Northern California training center for reading recovery. I will be honest with you, in my experience over the last 12, 15, maybe even 20 years, districts are pulling away from that only because of the expense. As a model, it works, but it's too expensive. One single reading recovery teacher can only work with 15, 20 students at a school. However, having said that, I will say that an important instructional component of the reading recovery model is using a running record to guide instruction, and we do instruct our group leaders on using a running record so that they can use that to guide specific parts of instruction. So we do pull some components of it, but that a reading recovery teacher has had years and years of very specialized kind of training using Mari Clay's reading recovery model.
Mr. Mensinger?
Yeah, just 2 quick questions. You mentioned you have AmeriCorps students, some of which have worked with students before. So I'm wondering that 2 things. First, how many? And secondly, how are they working with the current teacher to make sure that any of the trainings or the lessons seems seamless to the children, or at least that it works together?
Okay, we're gonna double team this. So I'll answer the first part of your question. We currently have 24 AmeriCorps members. Those are members that we recruit from all over the United States. They go through a double, sometimes triple interview process with us. They're all college graduates. We have graduates from Brown University, UCLA, Cal, had interviewees from Vassar, so we get some people from very, very top colleges. Some of them don't have experience directly working with students. They think they're interested in it. We have one of our AmeriCorps members who has a master's in speech and language pathology. So we have a whole range of people. We interviewed almost 160 AmeriCorps, potential AmeriCorps candidates last summer to get winnowed down to, actually we had 9 returners last year, so I guess down to the 13 that we actually ended up hiring. And I'm going to defer to Maeve to talk specifically about how she coaches and works with those AmeriCorps members.
So to answer your question, I believe it was how do our AmeriCorps members work with the daytime teachers to ensure a seamless so that is kind of one of the areas where our daytime intervention model comes into play. Our group leaders are in the classrooms during the day and seeing what the daytime teachers are working on with their students. They are most often working with many of the students that they will have in their after-school classes because they're the students that most need the intervention both during the day and after school. And so they have that seamless communication just by virtue of our model. It allows for them to see the instruction, have one-on-one time with the teacher, and teachers can, oftentimes they're in their classroom after school, so they get to see what's going on in the after-school program as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're at that point in the evening by 8:30, when we take public comment on non-agenda items, each speaker can speak up to 3 minutes. Mr. Mensinger?
Yeah, we have a few. First one.
First one would be Lowell Shira.
Thank you very much. Will be several of us, I believe, speaking tonight about the BITSA program, Beginning Teacher Support Program, that has been a shared program among several school districts here in Alameda County, including Newark, San Lorenzo School District, San Leandro, Berkeley, and Alameda School District. Over the past, and I would like to just set the stage for in terms of what's been happening with this program, then the others will fill in with their real disappointment with what Newark is doing with the program. So over the past several years, the school districts I mentioned have combined their funds together to provide support for beginning teachers throughout Alameda County. And the amount is several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that's used to support these teachers. So what has happened with the new LCFF model is there's a loophole in that model that allows Newark to continue to receive the money that was pooled from all of the school districts and not turn around and share that with other districts to support beginning teachers. And we feel this is really unethical to use this money that is supposed to support these beginning teachers and to hold on to that money and withhold that support from the beginning teachers and the students they serve. So I think we have representatives from each of the other school districts here to also express their concerns of why Newark would choose to withhold funds, literally stealing money from the BITSA program, from the support for teachers and the support for the students they serve. So thank you very much.
Next, Fred Brill, San Lorenzo Unified.
I do have a letter. We could go to the governing board. Good evening. My name is Fred Brill. I'm the superintendent of the San Lorenzo Unified School District. We are on spring vacation now, and yet we felt it was very important for you to hear directly from us about the impact of your decision, and we are asking you very respectfully to reconsider and allow those funds that were designated to you as a lead fiscal agent to support the BITSA program in all of our districts. San Leandro Unified School District is not here tonight, but they will also be forwarding a letter, and they very much support these sentiments. As Dr. Shira said, this legally, you can keep the money that was designated for all of our districts, but we really look at this as an ethical issue, and I do want to cite your strategic plan and some of the ethical standards that you have adopted as a board. In your strategic plan, goal 4, it reads, create and enhance community partnerships to provide educational resources and opportunities. Your ethical standards under honesty and integrity read under courage, courage to stand by one's reasoned convictions, even if ridiculed or belittled. Being trustworthy, administrators, teachers, parents, and students will apply the principles of being trusted, responsible, and adhering to commitments and promises that have been made. You also have, under responsibility and accountability, the ability to imagine realistically the consequences of one's actions to self and others. In this case, the impact is $160,000 for our district. I think as a superintendent about everything in teacher units, that's 2 teacher units that we will not be able to pay for if these monies are withheld. Finally, you have fairness, a focus on equity and the common good, and the ability to recognize when a claim is reasonable and when it's unreasonable in view of the relevant evidence and supporting arguments. We've done the analysis, we've had it verified by the Alameda County Office of Education, and again, we are asking that you reconsider and do the right thing by our teachers and students. We want to continue to be able to trust and partner with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Next, Norman Fobert from San Lorenzo.
Yes, board members, superintendent and staff. My name is Norman Fobert. I'm a retired superintendent of the Bayshore Elementary School District in San Mateo County and the current board president of the San Lorenzo Unified School District Board of Education in my 18th year. I am an active participant on the BITSA Council for the past 5 years, and this has been my second round with the organization. And I also concurrently served for an 18-month period for one of the charter schools who paid to be a part of the BITSA program. It involves, however, those whose funds were placed together as Alameda, San Lorenzo, Berkeley, and San Leandro school districts. While this board, the Newark board has legally and technically decided to use the consortium allocation, I am here to express the collaborative surprise and dismay of our board that your district has decided to use these funds in your general fund. We anticipate having a number of new eligible teachers this year due to class size reductions under the LCFF, and they require additional training, and I don't think it's been made clear yet that BITSA is required for new teachers to clear their credential. And so this is a very important program, and the burden will be placed on the districts that can no longer participate in the allocation. We ask that you reconsider.
Thank you. Okay, next. Donna Pinkney? Yes. I'm sorry.
I'm Donna Pinkney. I'm the president of the San Lorenzo Teachers Association. As you know, quality teachers have a greater impact on student achievement than any other factor. And we are entering a period of time when teachers are becoming scarce. New teachers truly belong to all of us and can either reflect positively or negatively on the teaching profession and on public schools. It does not serve the interest of the Newark School District to sabotage the limited support systems in place for teachers new to the profession, whether those teachers are employed in Newark or in Alameda or in San Lorenzo. BITSA funds are of critical importance to San Lorenzo and to every other district. These funds are desperately needed to support the 40 or 50 new teachers the San Lorenzo School District plans to hire for next school year. I cannot see how withholding funds that rightly belong to other school districts for use in training and supporting new teachers is an appropriate or sensible course of action. I urge you to reconsider this decision.
Thank you. Kirsten Patel, Superintendent of Alameda Unified School District.
My board president, Margie Sherritt, has a speaker slip in also, so she'd like to speak if possible right after me. So this evening, I'm here with my board president, Margie Sherritt, who's handing out our letter, Audrey Hyman, the president of AEA, our teachers union, Sandy Wong, our HR coordinator, and Robert Clark, our CBO. My name is Kirsten Patel. I'm the superintendent of schools for the Alameda Unified School District, and this is my 6th academic year. And we're here to express our deep disappointment and distress over your district's decision to retain the state funds for BITSA, rather than distribute the funds among the 5 member districts of the East Bay BITSA Induction Consortium, otherwise known as EBEC. For years, the agreement among the EBEC member districts has allowed the 5 districts to benefit from a really strong BITSA program, working cooperatively and collaboratively to better new teachers, working together. The recent Newark board action indicates that Newark will withhold 100% of the BITSA funding. The remaining member districts will not receive any LCFF funds under BITSA. The lack of BITSA funding will either decimate our BITSA program or at best force us to pull funds from other educational programs to make up what will be hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue. In our minds, this is unethical and a grievous disservice to both new teachers and to students in the Berkeley, San Leandro, San Lorenzo, and Alameda Unified School Districts. Moreover, it's reprehensible that Newark can take action in public to keep the funds that it knows doesn't belong to you. So we ask that you reconsider. I'd also like to appreciate all of the superintendents and board members, union presidents, and staff in the room that came this evening to speak. This is really important to all of us.
Marjorie Charette.
Good evening. I'm Margie Sherritt.
Margie, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I'm the president of the Board of Education in Alameda Unified. I'm also a former teacher and counselor and high school principal in Alameda for many years. So I know comprehensively the importance of the training for our new teachers as they come into a district, as they begin of such an important profession. I wanted to point out to you that Alameda Unified School District's Board of Education gave unanimous direction to our superintendent and staff at our April 8th board meeting to vigorously challenge the decision that Newark Unified Board of Education made to withhold the 100% of the BITSA funds. Our Alameda Education Association, our teachers union, also supports this plan. We're considering other avenues of action also, including but not limited to working with our local legislators to raise the awareness of teachers, staff, and our broader community about our decision by one district to withhold the money from teachers and our children of other districts. We believe that it is absolutely not in the best interests of all of us and all of our new teachers in this consortium. There are some other districts that serve as fiscal agents for BITSA funding, such as Pleasanton Unified. And they have made the right decision and are continuing to distribute the funds per the current agreement. We can only hope that Newark will please reconsider its past action and take action now to make the correct and honorable decision. Thank you.
I assume Donald Evans, I assume he wants to talk about...
Yes.
Okay, because you didn't put an agenda item, so I assume it's public comment?
Yes, thank you.
Well, there's no agenda item for BITSA.
It's for BITSA. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent. My name is Donald Evans, and I'm the Superintendent of Berkeley Unified School District. And I can think of a million places I'd rather be right now. But I'm here. And by the way, congratulations to the Rocketry Club on a great job. It's disappointing to hear about the news, the board's decision to sweep our BITSA funds after 2014-15. And I'm here tonight to ask the board to reconsider their decision and continue funding after 2014-15, at least funding a portion or percentage of those funds. Let me remind the board that the money you took was the consortium's money, not Newark's money. Newark was the fiscal agent, acting on behalf of all the districts in the consortium. Yes, it's true that it's Tier 3, and legally you can take action, and you have done so. But I ask you to consider whether or not this decision was ethical. I want to say I take pride in my relationship with your superintendent, and the relationship that we all have with each other. It's collegial and professional, and we oftentimes consult with one another. Well, this is one of those situations that I think that we all should have been in the same room to work this out, and this was not done. Now you have, as a board, decided to fund the program for only 1 year. This is unacceptable. How do I explain this to my community and especially to my new teachers? So this funding is so important tonight that I have my own board member here, as well as all of us here tonight. We want our teachers to be supported just like you. How would you feel if Berkeley Unified did this to your teachers? What would that have to do with the quality of education that you provide or the quality of services that you provide to your teachers? I urge you to reconsider your decision and continue funding BITSA, the BITSA program to 2021, when all districts will reach their target funding under the local control funding formula. Thank you.
That was the best one I heard. Oh, I'm sorry. And I assume this is the same thing.
Beatriz, Leyva, Cutler.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Beatriz Leyva Cutler. I'm on the Berkeley School Board and also the clerk. I'm prepared to send a letter to the chair, Linda Darlene Harmon, for the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. I'd like to read it to you. Dear Ms. Darlene Hammond and Commissioners, I'm writing as an elected school board member for Berkeley Unified School District regarding the BITSA program in Alameda County, and also as board liaison to the BITSA advisory in Alameda County. Berkeley has joined Alameda, San Leandro, and San Lorenzo Unified School Districts to oppose a recent decision by Newark Unified BITSA fiscal sponsor to sweep corresponding BITSA partner funds to Newark School District General Fund. While it was a board-approved decision by Newark to sweep all funds and give no funding to BITSA partners, they reconsidered a second offer only after the partner districts asked for a meeting with the superintendent and board president to reconsider its decision. Newark came back and said that they agreed to provide only 100% funding for 13-14 school year and to reduce this funding over time. Newark superintendent and board president believe that they have every right to sweep the funds to their base funding given their dire budget cuts over the past years. All districts, as you all know, have had severe budget cuts over the last 5 to 7 years. We would like to ask you on behalf of CTC and as a supporter of BITSA to express comment and or help us to mediate this disagreement with Newark. We were never informed in advance that BITSA funds were being considered to be swept until after the board decision was made. Berkeley Unified remains steadfast that the funding for BITSA belongs to Berkeley BITSA induction programs and to the other partner school districts and should be ongoing, like Pleasanton Unified, who is providing to their BITSA partners. Each school district that was partnered with Newark views its decision as shocking and disturbing. Each district now has to decide how to fund their BITSA program via college or requiring our teachers to pay out of pocket and or partner with someone outside our county. On behalf of Berkeley Unified, I act as chairs of the Commission on Teacher Credentialing and in the spirit of a BITSA goal to attract and retain new teachers, that you use your position and knowledge to communicate to Newark that their decision undermines partnerships and professionalism between school districts and inhibits districts from helping new teachers in our county. My recommendation to the Berkeley Board of Education will be to terminate our BITSA partnership with Newark because there is a loss of respect and integrity under the leadership of Newark Superintendent and School Board. The decision to sweep BITSA corresponding funds into a general fund is so serious that the districts involved will be going to Newark's board meeting to publicly denounce this board decision because we see no earnest or sincere movement by Newark Unified to repair and restore our partnership and funding by doing what is ethically right. Berkeley, San Leandro, San Lorenzo, and Alameda school districts will be present at a public comment to call out this injustice to the board. I appreciate your response and our recommendation to how BITSA funding can be restored and Newark Unified can be convinced from moving forward with a decision that harms their reputation as educational leaders. I join my fellow board members in finding other recourse for Newark Unified to reconsider its decision. Thank you. And believe me, none of us take this very lightly and being here and presenting in front of you. This is unprecedented, and I'm sure it's uncomfortable for you and as it is for us.
Thank you.
That's it.
Next, we move on to continuing our staff reports.
Okay, next we are going to move to some curriculum council items. And first up, we are going to hear from Krista Taylor, Assistant Principal from Newark Memorial High School, and she is going to introduce 2 courses that will be new to Newark Memorial next year. She's proposing them as for decision this evening, and they've already been vetted by Educational Services as well as Curriculum Council.
Okay. Good evening. I'm here tonight to propose 2 new courses that we'd like to offer at Newark Memorial. This first course is Advanced Acting, which will be taught by Kimberly Moss, who's here tonight. The purpose of this new course proposal is to expand and offer a more rigorous drama program at Newark Memorial. Currently, we offer a one-year long acting course. This advanced acting course would allow students to build on their knowledge and experience from our beginning acting course and rehearsal performance course. By moving on to advanced acting, students would be able to dig deeper into fully understanding the process and development of putting on a production. This course will be A through G approved, falling under the F or Fine Arts category. There would be no additional cost in offering this new course, as the funding would come from the already yearly allotted budget to our drama department. The second course that I'd like to introduce is Media Arts 1, which will be taught by Laura Williamson. This course is being proposed as another fine art option as another fine art option for our students. Media Arts 1 covers traditional art skills while including media that students see every day. This class gives students background knowledge for digital media that builds on their art analysis skills while studying popular media such as animation, illustration, video games, and advertisements. Through this course, students will be able to learn about art careers as well as developing the skills needed to start in those careers. This course will also fall under A through G approval under the F or Fine Arts elective and aligns with the goals of Common Core curriculum of digital integration. Okay, thank you.
The third item coming from Educational Services is a textbook for the transitional kindergarten program. As you know, the state of California has added an additional grade, which is transitional kindergarten, which we began last year. So what we did was look around at what curricula were available. It's actually the first year of a 2-year kindergarten program. We couldn't continue to use the preschool curriculum that we had been using for our junior kindergarten program previously. We had to have something that was aligned to kindergarten standards. It's the first year of a 2-year kindergarten program. So there were 2 predominant programs available. One was Big Day by Scholastic. The other one is called the OWL program by Pearson. So we had samples of both of those curricula available over at Lincoln Elementary School last year. We had them available for teachers to peruse and to try out the units, and they selected the Big Day Scholastic program, which they are piloting this year. They're pretty happy with it. They like to continue to supplement that with some of the materials from the previous curriculum that they used. However, they've accepted or they proposed the Big Day as the purchase this year. We'd like to purchase that for transitional kindergarten. So those are the 3 items that are coming forward this evening, and if you have any questions, we can answer them now.
Mr. Mensinger.
2 quick ones. The transitional K first. I saw you sneaking away. The transitional K, the textbooks. Normally we don't approve elementary textbooks because they come approved. Is it just because it's transitional? Is that
Oh, no. It's when there's a new purchase, we don't approve a new course, but we typically do approve the new textbooks. So it's a text is what it is. And it's a curriculum is what it is.
Okay.
So that's what we're approving this evening, not the course, but the curriculum.
Okay. Oh, okay. And then with the media arts one, I was under the impression by reading this that this was just like the existing MCA class. It's just open now for everyone.
So we do offer media, what's called Media 10 to our MCA students, and those are for students that are only in the academy. So what this will do is this will expand it so that all of our students can take this course, and so our incoming students, even before they get in the MCA program, our ninth graders, would actually have the opportunity to take this course. And then when they can actually then choose to also move on to MCA. So it's also, I think, going to expand both our MCA program and other opportunities that are.
Oh, no, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why we need to approve it. Isn't, the course is already approved. I'm just kind of confused why. Is it because it's a different title, or?
No, this is actually a brand new course. It's coming with new curriculum.
Oh, so it is different from the other course?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's not
going to be taught. It's going to be taught a little bit differently, but yeah, it's new curriculum that's coming forward.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have a question, please. Actually, I don't know if it maybe this would be better directed to Ms. Hilberg, or Dr. Hilberg. We're adding courses at the high school, and I think these are great courses. My concern would be, have we looked at the number of courses we're offering in total and our ability to fill those classes with students, and because the last thing we want is to have a bunch of our classes fall below the minimums and that we have to cancel them.
Sure. So we're, as you know, we're in the process of just starting our master scheduling right now. So we have our core course numbers. So our core courses, our English and our history and our math courses all set. Our fine arts numbers are looking really high at this point, but we're still kind of divvying out where students are going and balancing courses right now. So we would be able to give you exact numbers and section numbers a little bit later on.
But you think there will be a draw for these courses?
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
Just talking with sorry to interrupt you, just talking with the counselors and the students, there was a lot of excitement about the media arts course and offering an expanded art acting program.
Okay.
And just to add to that, though we're approving the courses, they won't necessarily be offered unless they're filled. So
well, that's right,
we're just
but that
getting
was
them on
my
the books.
concern, is
Right.
that we have too many courses and not enough students to fill them, and if we add courses, should we be dropping courses given that we have declining enrollment? It's all wrapped up into the master scheduling and our ability to put students in these good courses.
Well, technically, if I could add, you don't necessarily, unless a class is archaic, to drop it because you want them on the books.
Right.
Because as you offer them and they fill up, then you actually can in fact offer them. And unless it's an archaic class that has lost its shelf life by years, you actually want to add courses to a master schedule to provide opportunities for students. And as the classes fill, they run, and as they don't, or they're low numbers, then that's when they make those decisions.
Okay, I guess so. I should have probably been thinking more in terms of not having enough students for more classes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I had something.
Oh, Mr. Rodriguez, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, and I'm not looking.
You're not looking at that.
Thank you, Ms.
And then
Ms.
Mr.
Taylor.
Stadler, and then Mr. Mensinger again.
Thank you, Chris and Ms. Taylor, and Celeste for bringing this to us. A few years ago, Avanzando Newark had dialogue with the school district about making sure that we had A to G, starting with the present 8th graders that are going to be 9th graders next year, which my granddaughter is one of them. And to see this and to see the elective, and I realized that in order to fill a class, that it takes everybody involved, you know, from us here to the principal, staff, and to the person that's going to be actually teaching the class, okay? I don't want people to feel that it's the responsibility 100% lies on the classroom teacher, because that's not the way it works. And so the goal is to make sure that the class is fully, you know, that we have participants in the class, and I think it's a minimum of, what, 25, I think it is. But with that, you know, I am just so excited that you know, somebody has gone through great lengths not only to bring this forward, to make sure it's A to G approved, and so that our kids have more choices, and yet they're still on that course to, taking A to G classes to get them to where if they want to go to a UC, they're able to. So I really appreciate that, and I'm sure that once you have the meeting with the parents and everything and talk about how exciting these classes are, you should have no problem getting these classes full. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, wait, no, Mr. Stadler and then Mr. Metzinger.
Yeah, I think Ray just covered some of mine. That I think it's fantastic you guys are doing this. This advanced acting, I think it's great. I mean, and I've got all the confidence in the world that these things are going to be packed. In fact, probably where you're going to have to turn down some kids. So, great job. Great job.
Yeah, I agree too. I have a couple of questions. First, do we have FTEs for these? Last meeting I asked for the final list of FTEs, and we said we'd see it at the Friday update, but I haven't seen anything yet. So have we established all our FTEs for the district now?
Mr. Irwin and I will be meeting tomorrow to finalize the numbers.
Okay, so then we can see it this Friday in the Friday update then?
I could have it ready for then, yes.
Beautiful, because I think that's very important, especially if they're looking at the master schedule and then adding new classes. We need to know what the FTEs are, and so we actually can schedule, hopefully we can actually put a teacher's name against the new classes. The only other thing is, you mentioned talking to the counselors and the students about filling these classes. I hope that also includes talking to the teachers, because the teachers are the ones who actually advertise for their next classes, as opposed to, anyone else, right? If you're sitting in front of 31 smiling faces all day long and you're saying, you guys, if you're really interested in this, you should be taking this class, right? So I hope that list also included speaking to teachers. And
it did.
I thought
it did.
So. Okay, thank you.
I had, just before we go on.
Yes.
Be nice if we could take these classes.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't know how difficult it was. Those of you that have known me, I've been on this board about 18 years, to have people come up, and yet you have to, even everybody knows there's two sides to every story, you have to sit still and not respond. And so hopefully, I'll get the strength to be able to continue to do that. Maybe an acting class would help. But anyway, again, have you had a chance to talk to the 8th graders about this? Is this going to be a freshman class, or is it going to be part of it, or?
So well, there are two courses. The media arts program, yes, to answer your question, our counselors already went over to the junior high and have started enrollment and registration with the 8th graders and did speak about these classes. So the media arts will be open to our current incoming 9th graders and 10th graders, and then the advanced acting will be for those students after they take beginning acting or rehearsal performance in their freshman year.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then, Celeste, I had a question on the kindergarten. You can stay up there. You don't have to move. This is something that's been going on for a long time, trying to improve kindergarten and have an all-day kindergarten. So I just applaud you for moving this forward, and I know this is a lot from what the state wants us to do, and but still, to take it from there to the district and to talking to our teachers, the people that are going to be involved, which we've always had a history of doing, and to see it happening is just great. So it's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I guess that took care of D, E, and F. Thank you for condensing those into one big presentation so we can get back on schedule. Next, we move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda A. Do I have a
move to approve item A1?
Second.
Please vote. 4 ayes, Member Crocker absent. Next, non-personnel items. Do we have anyone that would like to pull any item?
I would like to pull item B6.
Okay, could I have a motion for the other items?
Move to approve B1 through B5.
Second.
Please vote. 4 ayes. Member Rodriguez?
The reason I pulled this is as most of you probably have, you've gotten phone calls from a lot of our community with concern on trips that our kids are taking, especially in lieu of the tragic bus accident that happened with those young people on the bus. You know, and again, I've been on this board a long time, and that really, you know, just took a lot out of me to think of any child that, you know, because when we go through the trouble of and through the hard work of putting a trip together from the school, the teacher, the parents, and fundraising, and then picking the bus, the company that's going to transport our kids, and making sure that we have the staff that's going to go with them because of the ratio that we have. And then to have something like that happen, I'm sure all of you feel for these families, and I just, I'm thankful that here, even though we discuss it a lot sometimes and it gets kind of, you know, sometimes we go back and forth on making sure that every time one of our kids goes on a trip, that every precaution has been taken to make sure that they're safe and that there's proper supervision, and because we want our kids to be able to experience education, everything that's got to offer, but also to be safe. So this is just an applaud, as I applaud as a parent and grandparent, to our teachers and our staff on all that they do to make sure that this happens with our children. So with that, I'd like to move that we approve it.
Okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote. 4 ayes. Thank you, Member Rodriguez, for those comments. So next we have board member comments on consent agenda items. Does anyone have comment? Okay. Employee organizations. Yes, please. Ms. Grundman.
Good evening, President Thomas, board members, Dr. Markin, and staff. I am Mary Grumman, and I am here tonight as first VP to stand in for our president, as she is on vacation and will not be returning until Monday, April 21st. She wanted me to say that today is the third board meeting since we came to you to express our concerns about equality. Since then, NTA, NUMA, and staff have settled or have been given their compensation. We still have not. Our next negotiations with the district is scheduled for May 8th. We are hoping that our faith in you as a board to support the classified unit will prevail so we can finally bring to our membership a contract to ratify. In the meantime, CSEA Newark Chapter 208 will continue to stand in solidarity for rights and equality for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here from NUMA? Oh.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
Do your thing.
I know it's been a long time. I just want to come up as the president of NUMA and thank the board for recognizing the hard work that we put forth, and thank you for including us in the salary increase. Really appreciate that, and we'll make sure that we work hard and show you that we're worthy of it. So thank you. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
I heard you have you're having a swimming party on Friday that we're invited to. It's called
How do you hear about these things? No, seriously.
Dude, I got it before you got it.
How do you hear about these things? I mean, come on.
So, we brought the ice.
You mean the hot water?
No, I mean the ice.
No, we,
The president of NUMA, I like
we did a fundraiser and was trying to entice students to sell more. If you sold X number of items, the principal would sit in the dunk tank on Friday and they would get to throw and try and dunk me in the dunk tank. So.
And what time am I supposed to be there?
That'll be at lunchtime at 11:30.
Yeah, I gotta get my, my arm ready.
Don't throw your arm out trying to get me.
Oh, you're a good sport.
I will be there.
That'll be me.
Yeah.
We knew about this before you did.
Yeah.
We did.
NTA?
Going to the high school next year.
Okay. So next we move on to new business. Superintendent, do you want to introduce these items?
Yes, I just have a summary of donations. We really appreciate our partners and our community for their support of Newark education in our schools. $499.96. So here's 4 cents. We're going to make it an even 500. Bank of the West Newark Junior High School, as part of their employee, well, if Mr. Neal is leaving, I'm going to take back my 4 cents. As part of their employee giving program. Also $400 from Tetsuko Yoshioka to Music Elementary. $100 donation from Richard and Darlene Cummings for Andy Haloka's classroom at Newark Junior High. $2,500 from Jennifer Snyder to the McGregor Alternative Center Basketball Club. $60 Wells Fargo Newark Junior High School from their community support campaign and educational matching gift program. $130.90 from General Mills to Newark Junior High School as part of their Box Tops for Education program. And a volunteer workday, a group of volunteers from Lincoln Elementary donated their time and effort for the beautification projects at Lincoln Elementary on April 5th and April 12th. And I'll put the 4 cents back.
Grab it, Elaine. Grab it before he takes it.
And that's a list of our donations.
Oh, you had to borrow it.
Yeah, oh, God. Usually he gives the principals his 2 cents worth.
Do we have to move to accept a donation?
Yes, would we?
I'd like to move.
Okay, it's moved by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Stadler. Please vote. 4 ayes. Next, we have approval of the contract addendum for contracted employee Elaine Nielsen, where we are asked to approve a 5.5% increase effective March 1st, 2014. May I have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve with the stipulation that no money is given out or paid until CSEA contract is approved and signed.
That would be a, I guess that's the motion.
Second?
Move to discussion. I don't see any purpose in holding this up.
I don't either.
You can vote no.
Then we're tight on it until Jan gets back.
No is a no.
So just so I understand, it's effective March, I'm trying to understand your motion. It's effective March 1st?
Just like it's written.
Okay, so the actual increase wouldn't be paid until, so the 5.5% is there, it'd be paid in some lump sum and then after CSEA signs their contract?
Yep.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. We have 2 bargaining units, and which is NTA and CSEA. We can't, because of confidentiality, we can't talk about the ongoing discussions with CSEA. And, you know, there's not that much of a difference. But when you talk about individual, like, you know, Mrs. Nielsen that's going to be retiring come June 30th, she's part of the where we consider management, even though she's not part of NUMA, she's contracted, and we already gave approved NUMA, so I just feel it would be unfair to not move on this. Understanding that how seriously the board takes the negotiations with CSCA, I'm not happy that the next meeting is in May, but there's a reason for that, and it's got nothing to do with us. So, so I would personally like to move on this.
I'd like to speak on behalf of the work that Ms. Nielsen has done for this district and just express, I've spent many hours with you, Ms. Nielsen, regarding the processes and policies and the digging you've done and making sure that everything that's done in the finance area is just above board, that it's accurate, that it's timely, and so we're going to really miss you and your expertise as we move forward. To me, I would like to see this 5.5% increase effective immediately, or effective March 1st, but distributed immediately. I agree with Mr. Rodriguez. I think this is not an issue of CSEA. It's more an issue of Ms. Nielsen. We appreciate everything you've done, and we want to do this for you. Mr. Mensinger.
Yes, I agree with all that. I don't think there's any doubt with that. This is an interesting issue for me. It's unfortunate that there's only one contract on the agenda tonight, because it would make it easier, I guess, in my mind, to do it for all of them. Because it's, as I think this through, I mean, I've made it clear that I would like to have all the associations done before we do contract employees. And unfortunately, there's only one on here, and it makes it appear that it's one. And from my perspective, it's not. It wouldn't matter if there was 13 contract employees here. I think I would have to support what Mr. Stadler has said. So it's nothing personal, because the work, there's no doubt about the work, no doubt about the competency, no doubt about the fact that she will be sorely missed and not easily replaced. But it has to do with something else. Okay.
You know, it is unfortunate, because Elaine does do a good job. And I wish all the contracts were up there. But since there's just one right now, this is my stance.
So,
you know, we had an opportunity to put off NUMA, because NUMA is not a bargaining unit, okay? We had an opportunity to put off NUMA, which is management, until CSCA was settled. And I never heard anything on that one. Yeah. And now we're doing it here. It just, you know, yeah, to me.
well, call for the question. Two noes and two yeses. The yeses being Mr. Stadler and Mr. Mensinger. The motion does not pass. I'd like to make a motion that we approve a contract addendum for Ms. Elaine Nielsen, effective March 1st at 5.5%. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Please vote. Wait. 3 ayes. So congratulations, Ms. Nielsen, and again, we'll miss you. Next, we move on to transitional kindergarten curriculum adoption. We had a nice presentation earlier. Is there there's a motion to approve?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 4 ayes. New item D, a new course of study, Media Arts 1. Again, we had a presentation earlier. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. 4 ayes.
Oh, I hit the button awfully quick, sorry.
And lastly, new course of study, Advanced Acting. Do we have a motion?
No motion.
Second?
Second.
Please vote.
Oops. I hope I hit the right button. Okay, I messed this up, sorry. Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you.
4 ayes. Thank you. Next, we move to a Whiteford plan. We have had a list of issues before us. Pardon?
You just skipped over. You skipped over full-day kindergarten.
Oh, I'm sorry, full-day kindergarten, okay. Same thing. We've had discussions as a board on setting agenda items for discussion, and the next several items are ones that we have set for the purpose of discussion and providing direction to staff. So we begin with full-day kindergarten.
Yes. That was for
Superintendent, would you like to say a few words to this as we...
No, that was me. I brought it up.
Oh, Mr. Mensinger brought it up, so
Thank you.
Mr. Mensinger can speak.
Yes, I'd first like to thank staff for all the information that we've received recently on full-day kindergarten. This is something that this board has been requesting information on for many years. So at this point, I would like to make a motion to direct staff to put together a plan and curriculum for implementing a full-day kindergarten by next fall.
Second that.
I second that too. I think it's time. Please vote. 4 ayes. Next is the Whiteford plan. We have been given a lot of information in the Friday update about the Whiteford ideas that staff has. Do we have a motion for staff to pursue this to get a plan together?
I'd like to make that motion.
Mr. Rodriguez makes a motion.
Oh, so moved. Or second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So is it clear what the motion is? Okay, please vote. Again, to bring back a plan. Next, another item that has been discussed through the Friday update and in discussions over the years are new opportunities, including a K-8 school and 6-8 middle school models. And again, we would like to give direction to the superintendent to bring back plans that would lead to implementation in the 2015-2016 year. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion. I make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Stadler moves.
Can we separate those?
They're put together in one. How are we going to?
Yeah, I think well, let's have a discussion. Second it, and now let's have a discussion.
I think that you can have 2 separate plans that come forward if that's what you're recommending. We can ask that there be 2 separate plans, one for K-8 and one for 6-8.
I thought that's what we were doing, correct, in our discussion?
Yeah, I think that would be, again, to the pleasure of the board, but, obviously it will entail a lot of parent input and discussions on a level of interest, not unlike what Ms. Taylor was talking about when you have a class that's offered at a high school, for example. If you don't have the students for the class, you don't offer the class. So it would first entail talking to parents and doing a survey to see if, in fact, if we adopted a K-8 school, is there enough interest to have a K-8 school, again, under the whole idea of providing options for our families. So that would be, I think, naturally those 2 would come separately, even though they are on one item here. And with respect to the 6-8, I think that the Common Core and what the impacts for 6th grade are extremely pronounced. So that will be certainly part of our presentation.
I think we're going to have a busy department, Ed Services. Okay. Yes?
The time involved and the cost in order to, we probably don't have that. Could that be part of the presentation before we move forward?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, that would be
No,
part
it's
of
just
it.
Dr. Markin talking about doing a survey. I'm just talking about before we do that, could we find out what the time involved
Oh,
for staff
sure.
and the cost before
Is
we
that
do that?
clear that we could not put the survey before
Yes.
some initial planning that includes cost analysis, okay? Are you ready to vote?
Yes.
Please vote.
Just to be clear, we're voting on providing them direction to look into these two matters, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
4 ayes. The next item, FICMAT, is one that I personally have asked to be put on the agenda. I think that, especially given that we're going to be having a CBO search and a new CBO, and the fact that FICMAT and/or others are aptly able to provide training and help in certain areas, I would like the board to consider having the superintendent bring to us a proposal for training for school-connected organizations, and hopefully a process that then we could carry on year after year, so that all the school-connected organizations understand the board policies and their implications. So,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Okay, so that's for school-connected organizations. What about ASB?
We have had training in ASB in the recent past, and I don't know if it's done annually. Has it been done annually, Ms. Nielsen?
I'm trying to think, I can remember 2 out of the last 3 years, yes.
So I guess the question is, if they're here anyway and they're going to be, have them do both? Okay, so that would be school-connected organizations and ASB training, and I would like to add that, have them help us with a process and format that we can use so we can do this ourselves in the succeeding years.
Yeah. So the motion is to get a proposal for this, so we can see what the cost is
And then approve that
Okay.
if it's something we want to do.
Okay.
Okay?
And we did ask him to do that, to leave us the template so we can do it ourselves, but, you know, it's just too difficult. Probably too hard to do it yourself. So
Did we get a motion and a second? I didn't.
I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez moves that we ask the superintendent to do this, and Mr. Stadler seconds it. So let's please vote. 4 ayes. Next, we move on to Chief Business Official Search Procedure, and I think several of us have had, would like to provide input on kind of the next steps as we approach finding a Chief Business Official. So who would like to begin the discussion?
I don't mind beginning. Having your top-notch chief business officer to direct you with all the different changes that the state puts us through, and to me is real close to when we do the superintendent, and we would select a superintendent. Again, I feel we've been fortunate to have Mrs. Nielsen come out of retirement and help us. And I would like to see the board more involved than less involved. in this whole procedure. And I know that we have a contract with school services who, everybody, knows. And so I feel that, they're going to bring us good candidates. I would like to have them come and meet with us, maybe meet with us individually and maybe as a whole, and then kind of so we can, start this train going in the right direction. And I think we need to do this sooner than later since time's kind of running out on us. So, so my appeal is to have the board as active as possible in this whole search for our chief business officer in partnership with the superintendent as part of our governance team. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Stadler?
Yeah, I agree that we should be involved more than less. We do have a contract with school services for $14,200, but if we have them come here to meet with us, that's going to be an expenditure that we're going to be charged for, correct?
We don't have to have them, we can have one of them come.
So, I mean, I don't know if we want to meet in twos, or if you guys want to meet individually or in twos, or if we want to do it via phone. Because every time they come up here, it's going to cost us additional money. I just want that,
Mr. Irwin?
Yes, thank you, President Thomas. I just wanted to add that the meeting that we had just last week, recently, the board directed that we contact school services. I did so and that direction was that they were going to set up phone interviews with each of you. And I have emailed them all of your email addresses, so you should be receiving a personal email from them, I believe, this week, so that they can set up those phone interviews with each of you.
Okay. My understanding...
Go ahead.
Okay. My understanding is that our typical process in the past has been to have at least one panel or two panels. What have we done in the past in terms of the actual interviews of prospective?
Right. Again, school service has a template. We have used them in the past. On the first round of interviews, they do have two panels. One that they call, I believe they call it community panel, and it is made up of representatives of our bargaining units, employees, principals, parents, Chamber of Commerce, that type of community in its broadest sense. And they send to us a big list of the types of people they would suggest for that. The second panel is what they call a technical panel. So, for example, they suggest a CBO from a surrounding district in the county CBO, somebody in city finance, the audit, a representative of our audit firm, those types of more technical. And then on the day in which the interviews are scheduled, the candidate will actually go before both of those panels, and they have questions obviously designed for each panel. And then at the end of that process of that day, both panels will come together, and then school services leads through a debrief, and that will bring forward the names of which are then passed forward. So that's for the first round of interviews.
So hopefully several names will be put forward, and then what's the process for the selection?
In the second round of interviews, that's where they say it's really up to each district. I just spoke with John Gray last week from School Services. But basically that second round looks in some type of configuration with a facilitator from School Services. John Gray will be coming to do it, along with the superintendent and executive cabinet, or those of us. And then depending on the district, and this would be in place with the board's involvement, where 2 board members may, if that was the desire, be on that final interview. So that's in general. Some districts, the board chooses not to be involved, he said, others do, so it's really up to a local district's how they want to do it. And that's the final interview.
Right. Mr. Mansinger?
Okay, so I'd like to make some suggestions, some specific suggestions, and then we can talk about those. In the past, certain things we've done in the past, and then we can talk about whether they make sense or not. But one of the things that we've done in the past is review resumes, and then we've also made selections on who we think should be brought forward for interviews by looking at resumes. That's something we've done before. Generally, the board and staff agree on them, so there isn't really a debate there, but it's kind of interesting to see the different perspectives. So I like that. As far as the committees, I agree with what Mr. Irwin had said, that, you know, school services said, but with a slight twist on it. I think that at least one committee, whether it's a third committee or whatever, should have participants from the business office and other direct reports to the CBO, which would mean MOT, child nutrition, things like that, and some you know, a couple of principals, because again, these people deal directly. And as far as the questions go, I think that in the past, the board has, together with staff, approved a set of questions. I'm not so sure I want school services to provide the questions, necessarily provide the questions, because frankly, any of these candidates who are good have already heard all the questions, and they probably have them listed somewhere in a book, and they know how to answer them. And so I think that with our little twist on that make it specific to Newark Unified, I think that's something that we've done in the past, and it's also given us a little bit of insight into the candidates. Thanks.
If I could just say that, Member Mensinger, you're absolutely right. I did not include all the direct reports and principals. They actually split between the technical and the community panels.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mr. Rodriguez again.
No, since Member Stadler was mentioning trying to keep the cost down, you know, when he was talking about the transportation issue, it might be good to find out exactly what they cover or what they'll do for us for the contract that we've already signed. Because we're looking at adding things, and there might be a cost to that. So, so Mr. Irwin, do you remember they talked about having to do different panels? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was my understanding that they would incorporate what Member Mensinger in those 2 panels. So let's say the normal panel size would be maybe 8 to 10. And I know they have, their template probably also tells you what they would like to keep the panels at what number. So rather than having, you know, maybe 12 people, maybe Member Mensinger was talking about maybe having a 3rd panel. So I would like to know if you can kind of run that by them to see, you know, whether that would be an additional cost, because it goes different than what, you know. I'm not looking at the contract right now, so I don't know whether it specifically says, you know, 2 panels and, you know, the 14,000 is based on that. The other thing is that after we talk to them individually by phone, I would like to have a conversation with the board and them. And here again, in order to save money, is there a way we could do that, like on a conference call, even if it was open session, where we did that in order to save money, where they don't have to come down? And so I don't know whether that's something that the board would consider, And it might be good to find out how much more they would charge us if they did come down, and we had an open session. And then the third thing is, Member Mensinger again talked about maybe having questions. I don't want those questions to come just from the board. I think they should also come from community and staff. So maybe having a meeting where we talk about different questions that we might want to ask them. So I think it's important to find out exactly where the costs lie as far as how much extra would it cost if they were part of the board meeting, or if we could do it by conference call. It would have to be an open item.
Okay. Just one clarification. I think Mr. Irwin said that, well, I suggested maybe a third panel, and he said it's not necessary. Well, I'm putting words in his mouth, but basically said it's not necessary because the people that I recommended would be on the other two panels. Is that correct?
That's correct. They, yeah, that's correct.
And in regard to what you said, though,
It would be different than
it's like an additional day or additional time that they'd have to spend in addition to the cost. The travel cost to me is not very, I wouldn't worry so much about that, other than does it change the cost of the contract?
And we'll put in the update this Friday the suggested positions that they suggest for both panels, and I think you will see that it covers from those in the district to the members of the community.
Right, and that's what's important. I'm not saying it's not important to the other board members. What I'm saying is that that's a big thing for me, is getting some, like, you know, maybe people from DLAC or, you know, just getting more community members, at least one or two extra. So their template should show us what they envision a panel to be, how many members, and who's going to be on that. And it'd be good to look at that to see if maybe we want to change that and maybe add a couple of people to it. Okay.
Mr. Stadler?
Okay. It was just my understanding that when we were talking about this contract, that every time they come down additional, I mean, we don't know how much it's going to cost us. I mean, assuming that it's not going to cost us very much, I mean, it could cost us quite a bit.
Well,
I mean,
isn't it direct expenses like their mileage? And it's not their time, right? It's just their mileage?
There were extras, including, in fact, when the contract came out, it was $14,200 plus extras.
That is correct, and I don't have it right in front of me, but it does say direct expenses. We've posted the position now. There's advertising expenses, that type of stuff.
Right.
I don't have it directly in front of me.
I mean, in no time, this thing could shoot up over 20 grand.
What do we pay for the superintendent?
Well, I think
50, I think.
I'm sensing that we would like you to go back to school services and tell them, here's a big package, and these are the things we'd like you to do additional, and can you tell us how much more that would be? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
I think so. You know, I understand we're trying to keep our eye on the ball when it comes to cost, which makes sense. But in the whole scheme of things, the getting a quality CBO that could follow the one that we had, which are pretty large shoes, is going to cost. And let's not be, you know, penny wise and pound foolish. Yeah.
You know what? I agree with you, but let's not spend it foolishly. Let's not spend it, you know, let's spend the money to get the right CBO, but let's not spend it.
Oh, man, I wanted to spend it.
Wasting it, you know, like 20 trips down here.
I think we should ask him to come by Amtrak instead of driving personally.
I say right.
All I'm saying is, you know, it's a big position. I get it.
No, it could go crazy. Okay, so,
yeah.
You know, I think everybody understands.
Right. Okay, so did we give enough direction that we don't have to vote on anything, right?
Right. I think we did.
Mr. Irwin? Did we give enough direction so we don't have
enough to work on?
Okay.
Maybe too much.
So next we move on to.
Well, one more thing on this. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that, yeah, we said we gave enough direction, but you know how we are. We say that, and then we go back and say, well, Tim didn't do what we told him to do. So I just want to make sure that, is there some way that we can validate, what we think the direction is, whether you come back in a Friday update and say, this is what I think I heard Tuesday night, do you all agree? And then that way you can get something from us.
Well, why don't you echo back to us right now what you think we said? And then we can argue about it if we think we didn't say that.
We just talked to 15 minutes. It's going to take him 15 minutes to tell
Yeah, he's going to have to repeat that all back?
No, I think this is valid.
What I have is that certainly the board wants to be more involved than less involved. And examples of that would be the possibility of board looking at resumes before the selection is made of who to interview, to look at the questions that are being done, to look at the suggested panel makeups, who are the positions that that are recommended to make the panel. In addition, the after-school services has spoken with each of you individually. The suggestion of possibly a conference call, if that would be, where then the whole board could communicate with school services and/or to find out what it would cost them to come to a meeting to have that similar type of discussion.
Can I add something to that?
Well, first, a clarification. It seems to me that a conference call with all the board members would not constitute it's a Brown Act issue. You can't
Well,
have.
you would have to still be a meeting.
It would have to be.
They would join via conference call.
Yeah,
So
it would be an
publicly-
open session
It
meeting.
would have to be an open session
Yeah,
meeting,
open
right?
session
Okay,
meeting.
that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what
notice meeting.
Right.
Yeah, Mr.
That's what I
Rodriguez.
noted, and that's probably the only way to do it. Probably what I wanted to add to that is the breakdown. If you get 10 applications, how many individuals do we actually want to interview? And that would probably be a suggestion that they would probably make, I would imagine, that they might want us just to interview the top two, as opposed to,
Oh, okay, well, remember, that little trick was tried to put on us with selecting a superintendent, and we didn't fall for that one at all.
Right.
We said, because they wanted less and we wanted more.
Right. So maybe that'll be part of the discussion we have.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Irwin. I think you captured that very well.
Good, thank you.
For this time of the evening?
Yes, for this time of the evening. We have 10 more minutes, which I don't think we're going to have to extend the meeting because we move on to committee reports, announcements, requests, debrief, and discussion. Mr. Sadler, would you like to begin?
Just want to talk about the choir down in LA. There was a lot of schools there. I mean, there were schools even from Wisconsin that were down there in this competition, and they won third place. And came like 3 points from gold status. They did great. At 11 o'clock, the junior high, they're going to have Martinez in the ice cold dunk tank, and I mean, there's going to be ice in there. So it might be.
And that's Friday?
Friday at 11 o'clock pardon?
That's not nice. That's mean.
Just remember, it could be you. I think that's it.
I've done it before.
I think that's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Mensinger?
Yeah, I'd like to share something. Mr. Stadler had acquired or procured a large volume of calculators, a tremendously large volume of calculators, so much that it took up my whole courtyard full of calculators. And between us, we've been delivering them to the schools with the intention of giving every student in Newark Unified a calculator. We've visited, now let's make sure we get this right, we've hit Lincoln, Schilling, Kennedy, Bunker.
It'd be easier for you to say the one you didn't hit yet, that you're going to hit tomorrow, and that's
Bridgepoint.
Bridgepoint.
The
Every school
McGregor.
has been, every school.
So we've got to every school and delivered calculators. We've delivered some to the junior high and some to the high school. We need to go back and double back and see if we can pick up some more for them.
And we still have a few thousand left.
Yes, yes, thousands of these calculators. So I sadly, and this is no lie, I dreamed about calculators last night. But one of the neat things is when you take standardized testing, like AP type exams, students they can use calculators, but they can only be 4-function calculators. It can't be scientific or business calculators. They have to be, as I call dumb calculators, just the four simple functions. And they didn't have them. And so we got a whole bunch of them to the high school to support their testing for the kids who need them, because they just didn't have them, and they were going to go out and buy them.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
And I got these, but guys, all the thanks goes to Viola Blythe.
Yeah.
They're who had them donated. And all we did was pick them up and distributed them and made sure that every student in Newark got one.
We probably need to bring him in.
Yeah,
bring them in and thank them.
We would like to do that, yes. I'd been kind of keeping it secret where we were getting them from until Mr. Stadler.
The whole world knows now.
Well, no, until Mr. Sadler said it was okay to do so. So, because we wanted the schools to, get them first, and then they can do it. But every one of the schools are incredibly thankful, and they've all asked, who do we write the letter to? Who do we thank? Who do we thank? And so, it was really made me feel good. It was something. It was really good. Something very cool happening in our district. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
Mr. Rodriguez.
I just had a couple. The STEM Day, the partnership between Newark Unified School District and Ohlone, with the science programs that Mr. Ricardo puts on. So that's going to be Friday, and I think some of you came last year. So 8 a.m. I think it is. Is it Friday at 8? Okay.
At what time?
8 a.m. Friday.
At what?
At Ohlone at the Newark campus.
That goes all day, right?
Yeah. Normally, we might go in the beginning, and then when they go out to the classes, then we might come back around noon when they get back and stuff like that, just to offer our support. It's up to you guys. And Susie supplies lunch normally from Tortilla Factory. So that'll be Friday, and then there's a lot of stuff going on. I like to wish all of you a happy spring break. As most of you know, staff has been waiting for this for a long time. They felt that, other school districts, although Fremont is basically like us, but the Hispanic Community Affairs Council is having their 32nd annual scholarship. A lot of newer kids get scholarships, and I've sent you guys information, and Nancy's already, she won't be here, she's donated 2 tickets. And Dr. Markin is going to let me know. So we should have good representation there from Newark. Avanzando Newark is having their, I think it's either their 5th or 6th annual event recognizing individuals, employees from each one of our sites, and students from the secondary level that get scholarships, and they get certificates of appreciation. So that'll be, I think that's going to be the last Thursday in May. We moved it up so that it doesn't interfere with graduation. We send out nomination forms to all the sites, and everybody's cooperating and trying to get us those nominations back. So hopefully you guys will be here in May when we have that. And that one is a free event.
Cool.
Okay.
It's very cool.
So. And then on my committee reports, we couldn't have a SELPA meeting because there wasn't a quorum. So we're going to have another one before the end of June. And I'm also the representative for the BITSA, which was discussed tonight.
Good luck with that one.
Okay. That's a tough one because I've been on BITSA years, and it's very rare. In all my years, I've never had other board members and superintendents come in and address us doing board comments on non-agenda items. But I can assure the community at whole that we have had conversations. You know, I had to bite my tongue when they were basically saying Dr. Markin didn't, Yeah. Okay. So I'm hoping that the board, there'll be an item that we can discuss in closed session again, like we did before. I think it was closed session that we had, or was it open session?
It's open.
Okay. So we have the discussion in open session, and I'm open to, personally, to mediation, but I think we need to support our superintendent, and we did have people from the county give us advice on this, so it wasn't just something we came up with. And I like the comments by the superintendent from Berkeley. He was in Hayward before Berkeley, and the board member from that same school district. So I'm pretty sure we'd be able to do something. So the last thing any school district needs is to be, deemed as whatever they said, and bad PR is not good for anybody. So I think it would behoove us to at least discuss this again and see if we can come up. But we did give them 100% of the money we had this year, which I thought was pretty good. But so anyway, that's my report on BITSA. But and we 100%, the board and the administration supports beginning teachers and all our employees, and we know how difficult it is. My daughter was in the BITSA program, and I mean, she loved it, and we fully support that. We wouldn't have got into it and become the lead district, which requires a lot of work, a lot of time from our employees, and a lot of money, if we didn't support the BITSA program. So that's all I have.
Actually, our superintendent supported our board, not the other. Not the board wasn't super.
He supported our board?
He supported.
All right.
He supported us, not the other way around.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I think we support each other, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems to me that we had some conflicting comments from the speakers this evening regarding BITSA, that we kept 100% of the money. No, we gave 100% of this year's allocation to them, which was $800,000. It's interesting how that didn't come out, but so we did give them $800,000 this year, so that was more than nothing. Okay, and so I have an ROP meeting on Thursday, so I'll report on that when we meet again. I'll be gone the 1st and 2nd, I think, or the 2nd and 3rd of May to a CIF meeting down in LAX area. And the 15th and 16th of May, I'll be going to the Delegate Assembly for CSBA. So, again, thanks for voting for me. Sucker. No, it's great. You learn so much when you get involved with people, at other board members, and now I have to meet these same board members in the Delegate Assembly, Alameda County Caucus, but
I'll give you some self-defense training. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Take Gary with
they're
you to
good
protect
people.
you.
Yeah, they're my friends. I'm sure. I won't have any. They were my friends. Yeah, no. I think that's about all I have. Other than maybe at some point in the future we can discuss the BITSA thing again.
Do you want it?
And unless you folks have anything more, I'd like to adjourn.
Oh, can you, is there a way you can do both on that?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'd like to adjourn in honor of Donna Sheikh, who suffered a stroke, and we were told about that this evening. Right? No, we were told about it this evening during the Bridgepoint, and so we wish her well, and a speedy recovery. And also, I'd like to have us adjourn, Mr. Rodriguez asked this, that we adjourn in memory of the students who lost their lives in the bus accident earlier this week, and also wish well those that were injured, that they also have a speedy recovery. So with that, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.